All right, we're here. It's Berserk, Chapter 2. Let's talk about our bubble tea.
Yes.
I have passion fruit oolong, rainbow jelly.
You obviously really liked it. You're the gender queer.
It's done.
Yeah.
It's done. The transformation is complete. No, I think I got it out of my system, so I'm good now. Straight. STR8 hetero.
Okay.
All right. So, what about you?
I've got milk mango tea with tapioca pearls.
How are those pearls?
They're wonderful.
Mother of pearls.
They're my favorite.
Fantastic.
I used to think they were really weird. I was like, why would anybody want to drink that?
I mean, I feel like tapioca is just weird.
I mean, it really is. But, you know, then I discovered the wonder of tea stands. And, you know, then they really...
Tea stand, like food trucks?
No, like... So in Hong Kong, they have these little places.
Flexing? Are you flexing about Hong Kong?
I guess I am. I am flexing. No, I'm not. I'm just waxing on about my love for tea stands.
We know. I can tell. I can hear you. Okay, anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, and probably in a lot of areas in Asia, they have these little places where you can go and you can get milk tea, and the menu is just but the menu is incredible. It's
like just bigger or like crazier flavors?
So much bigger.
Like milk horse jelly things, like horse hoof jelly tapioca.
You know, I
dog milk.
Oh.
That sounds,
Oh my god.
Have you had it? You don't know if it's good. You haven't had it.
Yeah, so, it's reasonably priced, extensive menu, so good, and, so...
We'll have to drive over there.
Yeah, we're gonna have to drive over there.
Day trip, weekend trip, let's do it. Okay, so chapter 2, this is a shorter chapter. There's a lot less characters, but maybe it was a better vignette. What is your initial impression of chapter 2? How'd you like it?
My initial impression, it opens actually with some really adorable scenes of Puck flying in on a bird. That was great.
Yeah, that's like best art.
Yeah.
Is that the best art of the book so far? Of the story?
It's one of my favorite frames, most definitely. And he's absolutely adorable as usual, so that's good. You have a sick sense of prepubescent adorability. Okay, sorry, I'm sorry. It's a fascinating piece of art, and again, like if he had as much time as he wanted, the time was no object, then this would be even better. The comic would be an even better deal. So, right off the bat, Guts and Puck are, going back and forth, and Guts has this very like Darwinian survival of the fittest mindset, nihilistic, and that struck me very much. Like
what do you mean by that? Like positive, negative, what? Like, is that bother you? Do you feel like that's not the case? Is that not your reality take?
It's just a stark contrast between this very comical little fairy elf and this
cherub.
This dude who is very much has nothing to lose, pretty much.
Yeah. GTFO world, IDC, IDK. That's what he is. So, LOL, WTF, BBQ. Standout scenes in this chapter. So not art necessarily, but like what was the scene that really got you juicy?
The scene that got me in all 6 of these chapters that I've read was in this.
The entire book minus the last chapter?
Yes.
Okay.
The entire one was the little girl got out of the wagon and she got impaled.
This is the most impactful scene for you in the story so far, really.
It is. Okay. I really felt something when I saw that. I thought, surely this didn't happen. Surely this is fantasy. There's going to be a second chance or something else is going to happen here. And then I had to do a reality check and, let's remember the first 2 pages of this book.
This is rape and murder and probably a lot of torture.
Endings. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So is this NC-17? Do you think a 14-year-old should read this story?
I think I would prefer that they be a little older before they start to read something like this.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fair enough.
So where I guess
just because of the sexual content or the murder content, the gore.
I think there are some disturbing situations in
just
here.
Monster fucking. That's it, right?
It's definitely not the sexual content so much as, I just don't know if I would want a child seeing some of these tragic situations.
So you need to be over 18 to read this book.
I don't agree with that. My initial answer to your question is no, this isn't NC-17. But it's a heavy, dark book.
Well, listen, once they start showing penetration, then you're going to be feeling different. Yeah,
that scene where she gets impaled just really hit me. I had to pause and just take that in and feel it, and I really felt it.
Okay, Miura is working on you hard.
Yeah, and then I loved so much how 2 pages later you see her father beheaded.
Her name is Colette, by the way.
Oh, Colette.
Yeah.
Okay. And she was the one to do it.
Yo, she cut her own priest dad's head off. That's a double misdemeanor or whatever, right? Like it's a priest and your own father. So that's the hellscape of this world, right? Like the dead come back and kill again.
Yeah, and there's a difference, I think, between reading things that are that have no nuance.
Mm-hmm. Like no moral gray.
I just mean like in Game of Thrones, in some of the last books, some of the characters are just so bad that it's unrealistic and it's frustrating. But I do remember in Wheel of Time, and
that is not finished, right? Game of Thrones?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Well, not the books.
The books, yeah, whatever.
I do remember in Wheel of Time, granted I did read it as a teenager. I really the evil characters in that book, I enjoyed their ingenuity.
They're Machiavellian traits, dark triad groups. Yeah.
And this scene, I felt very much the same in that this is horrific, and I could be like, wow, that was an incredible twist.
Okay.
That I really enjoyed.
So then the standout scene for me, it was fantastic. That was an unexpected. like when she gets stabbed, you're like, she's done. Okay, so now like
I wasn't. I thought like surely she's gonna be resurrected, right? It's gonna
you were right.
We're gonna have a happy ending. Yeah. She's not gone for good.
You were right.
And then I had to pause.
Are
I was
you
like,
happy?
wait. She's,
So my standout scene was that she comes after Guts, and after she kills the head, she like throws the head down, and Guts is like having a moment where he's like, damn, sometimes this world is just the worst. And then she comes after Guts, and she like comes up to him with the sword and stabs him. And it's like, it's interesting because it's like kind of like in the belt, so it's not like, you can tell it's not a totally tough stab, or maybe he's just made of some thick fucking shit or something. But
I thought he was done before I saw the details. I
hold
was
on,
like,
hold on.
what
Whoa,
the hell?
Wait. What
the hell? What's the rest of this book?
Some books about...
he's gone.
Puck picks up the sword. Okay, so no, but like, he... then like has a second where he has to think about it, and then the scene where he cuts the little girl is like my standout scene, because that is some morally gray shit there, right? It's like a demon trolley car situation. Is it okay to get, who are you gonna kill? Like what's the bad choice here? But he just does it too, and so they're just showing you like, yeah, I mean, Guts has to be a maniac, right? Like he has to be a fucking monster and go berserk.
Okay, and and this actually like does mirror a debate that we have been having
True.
Off camera. Like what is like, he decides, he knows full well what he could bring to these people. And so like,
what you mean, like safety or protection or something? Like
in terms of just totally just bringing down all this evil on them.
Do you as far as like being near them?
Yeah. And they offer him a ride and he wrestles with it.
Yeah.
And then he gives in. Should he have not? Was it morally wrong for him to just like be...
I mean, the answer to that question is like, is he does he think it's wrong for those people to die? I mean, he's saying, right, if you are like, if you can't hold your own, if you can't bootstrap your own shit up, then fuck off, right? And some of that is like, because that's a liability to being around him, because if he needs to save you, then it's like, it's self-defense is way harder than offense, So I just think like, I don't know, it just depends on what you're, I mean, I think it's all preference. I think the whole thing is subjectively down to preference. So, but he feels bad about it, which is why he's questioning if he should do it or not. It's like, he doesn't want to totally be a fucking maniac. But who there's no moral gray aspect for is all of the monsters in this thus far, right? Like there's no question there for what they should or shouldn't do. Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting thing. I mean, that's what I like about the series is there's a lot of, I mean, it's just a sea of gray, storm cloud gray. Okay, so so the point of this chapter, what do you think it is? What do you think Miura is trying to get across from the events of this chapter?
That Guts, no matter what, because he does also have a dream where one of those terrible things is going after him.
It's the fetus thing from chapter 1, right?
That will like go into his mouth and just take him over something. And he gets no rest. His life is just a nightmare no matter what.
Yeah. Struggle. Just consistent tormenting struggle. Yeah, I mean, that's what I think the point is. Because after all that stuff happens, he just fights skeletons for like fucking 10 pages, right? It's like, and so what do you think about that, the skeleton battle? Because half of the chapter is a skeleton fight.
Yeah, and I was over it after a few pages, but I did understand by the end, Puck is sitting there like, wow, this is his life, and realizing why that was so many pages and what he's trying to show.
Yeah, and that's the reflective surface again, like you were saying in the first chapter of like just the reader lens that Puck is, you know.
Yeah, and I also I'm pretty impressed that I felt so much for Colette when she got killed, even though she was only in with her father for a couple pages.
Yeah, it was a very small amount. That's why it's like, this is like it's not cute. It's cute lengthwise. It's a vignette. You know, a sour grape vinaigrette. Right. So I mean, I enjoyed the chapter. I like the skeleton fighting because I'm a big fan of skeletons. I don't know if you knew this. I've got one, and it's one of the things I like about you is you've got one, and all my friends have them. So like, I try to only stick with people who are skeleton adjacent. But people are fascinated with skeletons. That's what's cool about them, right? Like doctors' offices with skulls in them, you know, especially like missing lower jaw. Like there's something creepy cool about that. That's fascinating. And so that got me thinking about the Ray Harryhausen stop motion animation movies like Clash of the Titans and Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, where there's these really awesome stop motion animation scenes of skeletons fighting. And you know, they've got scimitars and shields, and so there's a lot of references in this in fiction, and people just dig it. Like, reanimated skeletons is fucking spooky shit. And also, like, how do you kill them? They're just bones, right? So I'm kind of more of a fan of skeletons than zombies. I guess they're in a way very similar, you know? I mean, like if you had a zombie and you just ripped all the skin off, it'd be a skeleton, right? Same difference. But yeah, I really like that, and it got me thinking also about Fantasia and some of those super dark scenes in Disney's Fantasia, also with like skeletons
Really?
dancing around.
Skeletons in Fantasia.
I'm pretty sure. But yeah, so that's fascinating. And then any game that has skeleton warriors in it is an automatic win for me. Just like people are like humans are like obsessed with greys and reptilians, you know, that kind of thing. MVP of the chapter.
I'm going to say it's Guts.
I really thought you were going to say Colette. What? Why?
It's just become so clear what he's up against, and he's really doing his best to get through it. You know, at one point he's vomiting while he's fighting all these skeletons, and that's actually pretty realistic.
Less than his like God mode, God armor from chapter 1 you were kind of complaining about, right?
Yeah, most definitely. And
I was also going to say though, like, this is not the threat that apostle was in chapter 1. Like,
no.
Physically, they're not the threat. It's just like you're seeing how, like, over time, the wear and tear of your psyche getting busted up because of your constant physical sacrifice and struggle and torment. It just takes one moment of being off guard. So in a way, it is like speaking to, like, or it's making you think, like, what the fuck is Guts? Like, what kind of shit has he seen, you know? Because, you know, he is foobarred out and he's absolutely berserk, you know? So it's an interesting, like, juxtaposition to chapter 1 with the apostle. So yeah, I like this chapter. Like, how would you rate the chapter overall compared to chapter 1?
Ultimately, chapter 1 wins over this one for me because I'm always going to love getting bits of the story more so, and
like lore and like
breadcrumbs, like little things that intrigue me that I'm thinking about, and want to know more.
And it's more of a like a microcosm of like what the serialistic nature of it will be. Like, what's the pay to play? Like, what's the game loop of this? And that is go to some place, fuck with some people, kill some minions, fight boss. Gives you a little bit of a better feel for that. But that was not what this chapter was. Or it wasn't trying to like spectacularly dunk on chapter 1 in any way. So I did appreciate that like sort of more introspective look into it as a side story, and building some emotional feel with some other human characters, because he doesn't really build any real human bonds in chapter 1 at all. So yeah, I'd rate this chapter. I'd say, it's not as good as chapter 1. I feel like chapter 1's kind of a shoe-in with the opening demon fuck scene. That's kind of like picking a crazy name for a band, and then it's like, well, whether the band's good or not, it's another story. It's like easy, low-hanging fruit entry point. I did enjoy that chapter very much, though. Yeah, I guess I'd rate it less. It's not a bad chapter, though, and I would say like maybe the moments with Colette are more intriguing than anything in chapter 1. I don't think that makes it beat chapter 1 rating wise, though. Like, I'll probably try to come up with some metrics for rating, but right now, because you're like so soon in, you got to see some shit to really start being able to like put a number value on it.
Okay.
Okay, well, there's a shorter chapter, so it's a shorter video, but we'll do chapter 3 next. It's already been read, but that's going to be a longer video for sure. But the rest of them are all going to be longer before we hit the golden age. Book 2 is here. Volume 2, rather, is here. So we'll see you next time. Remember, fuck you. That wasn't the outro. That's not the outro. Okay.